what about, so you asked me when was my awakening. So I want to ask you the same question. When do you feel that you started your awakening?
But if I could think about one event, there was one thing that happened to me. So back in 2016, I was in a relationship and which was toxic. And in the beginning, I didn't even know that it was toxic. That was the funny part, because there were a lot of blind spots that I couldn't even see in myself. So I was in that relationship, and something really bad happened, and I had some suicidal kind of thoughts in my head. And also at that time, while I was having these kind of thoughts in my mind, there was another voice which was quite strong, which told me that how can you even think about these kind of thoughts? You have seen so many things in your life, even though I was just 20, 28, 27, maybe maximum 29 at that time. So how can even you I have seen a lot of life in my childhood and in my especially in my teenage years. I've been working since I was like 14 years of age and taking care of my studies at the same time. So I've seen a lot. And at one time I was in even me and my family was in a life-threatening situation, and we were in Himachal Pradesh, and I was able to take them out. Being a teenager, I was in eighth grade.
Mm.
I was able to take them out of that situation. So I'm inherently quite strong from within.
Mm.
But when I had these kind of suicidal thoughts, that voice was like, "How can you even think about that?" So I started to correct things in my life, and on that same night, at that time, I used to share my room with my brother back in the day, and he was not. He was gone somewhere else. He was not there in my room on that night. So I went down on the floor. I remember I went down on the floor on my knees. I folded my hands. I closed my eyes with my head down, and I prayed to the Lord. I prayed to God that I do not know what I have done in the past, good or bad. I may not know everything that I have done, because I don't even know how many lives that I have lived. Even in the some kind of past life, I must have or would have done some deeds which are not good. But you know, being the God, being the source of everything, you know everything. And I ask forgiveness from you if I have done something intentionally wrong or unintentionally. I ask you for forgiveness. And tears started flowing from my eyes. And what happened was I felt some kind of heaviness around my heart, and I felt my heart was getting open. And then again, I prayed and I asked the Lord and I thanked the Lord for forgiving me. I felt some kind of energies leaving my body because I was feeling quite light at that time. And then I asked the Lord that, God, if you are present, if you are really there, if you are really something, then give me a sign right now that you are there, that you are with me. Make me aware of your presence. And at the same time, I'm telling you, I felt a kind of a hand on the top of my head, on my crown chakra, and certain kind of beautiful light descended into my body, and it it was like lightning, but it was like very pure and very calming lightning inside me. And then I know that God exists. And even I give this prayer to my clients, and I would ask you to test it for yourself. If you want to test that if God exists or not, do it tonight. Go on to your knees, repent, and ask for forgiveness. And I'm telling you, if you would take one step towards God, the God would take 10 steps towards you. One more thing, even before you would start to utter this prayer out of your mouth or in your head, even before that, God is going to God is going to hold you, going to hold you. And God will hold you at the same time, and even before you say something or think about that, because God is the ultimate reality. It's like it's our ultimate parent, is our father, or you could say mother or source or anything, in but whomsoever you believe in. So when that happened with me, so the very next day I started to meditate and I started to read Bhagavad Gita. That could really change my whole life, my whole perspective about the life. And it ignited a fire within me. It gave me a lot of different questions to ask in life or about life. And slowly but surely some changes started to happen. Started to go out into the nature. And after I started to meditate, I was meditating twice a day, in the morning when I wake up and just before going to sleep. And then I had some kind of compassion for animals. When I look into their eyes, I saw some kind of a soul looking back at me. And I used to eat non-vegetarian food at that time. I used to eat a lot of animal meat like daily, because I was into like bodybuilding and everything. So I thought, if that dog or that cow can look at me with that kind of compassion, then what about the chicken or the goats? They also have the same kind of soul in them. So it just came from within me. I left eating meat. I left alcohol on my own. That's a complete different story, because all of the society was after me that why are you not drinking alcohol? It's so strange. So so I could, if I would pinpoint onto something, this was the point in my life where everything started to change.
So you started to do lifestyle changes,
Yeah, a lot of
drastic,
lifestyle changes.
drastic
Drastic.
lifestyle changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is where you started including your meditations as well, is where everything started to change for you.
Yeah. I was just meditating because I was feeling peace within me. In the beginning, a lot of thoughts came out to the surface, but I was like just observing them. It also because when in my childhood, my grandmother was initiated by a master who was perfect, and she used to meditate. And I used to just look at her and ask her about the stories of her master. How did you met, and what are his teachings? I don't know why I used to ask these questions. Even why I was like in like first grade, second grade, and then one day I asked her, Grandma, I want to do this thing as well, just like you. I want to meditate like you. So she said, sit cross leg, put your attention behind the eyes, and just do it. And I started to get some weird experiences, which I cannot even articulate in like through words, or explain through words what I am going through. Then I just told my grandmother after 2 years of meditating that these kind of stuff is happening. I'm seeing things which are not like real. And she said, okay, stop meditating, because she was afraid that I could get some kind of experience which for which I'm not ready right now, because
Yeah.
the seed was sown already in my childhood. So when I was
Yeah.
meditating, was putting my attention behind the eyes, and I was just observing my thoughts, whatever my grandma told me to do.
Yeah.
So it was such a blessing. So and then I changed my diet. I started experimenting with my diet. I also left eggs, but I need to for like 6 months. Then I realized that my body do needs the eggs, and then I started to eat eggs again. But the animal meat is like completely out since 2017, and the alcohol is completely out. And I started to do a lot of spiritual practices, asceticism. I also did semen retention, sexual transmutation, a lot of things that I did on in that zone in that time. So yeah.